In 1984, it has been most appropriate that the St. Louis franchise in the NFL is named for a bird, since the Cardinals have soared through the season's first 6 weeks. They have the #1 offense in the NFC, the best passing game, and no NFC team has scored more points than these birds from St. Louis. On the wings of the pass has been the Cardinals' motto, and the quickest feet belong to perhaps the NFL's finest all-around wide receiver, Roy Green. Green is teamed with his quarterback, Neil Lomax, to give the Cardinals a passing combination as explosive as any in the game. And these two rising stars will be challenged by the best defense in the league, the one belonging to the Chicago Bears. Of course, the Bears have another weapon, and that's Walter Payton, pro football's all-time rushing leader. You couldn't ask for more in an NFL matchup. It's the offense of the Cardinals versus the defense of the Bears, with the most productive runner in NFL history thrown in for good measure. From Busch Stadium, St. Louis hosts Chicago on the NFL Game of the Week. The game began with St. Louis quarterback Neil Lomax trying to fight off the tough Bears defense. Whether Lomax was dropping back to pass or handing off to his fine running back O.J. Anderson, Chicago defenders were present and accounted for. But Lomax took the Bears defense to school with one swift lesson, and he called on his classmate, the man quickly establishing himself as the NFC's most dangerous wide receiver, number 81, Roy Green. The Lomax to Green hookup was good for 54 yards, and it was the only play of any significance in the Cardinals' opening possession. But it was enough to set up a Neil O'Donohue field goal of 44 yards. St. Louis had an early 3-0 lead. In his previous game against New Orleans, Walter Payton had become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. At age 30, Sweetness was off to the best start of his 10-year career, having rushed for 100 or more yards in 5 straight games. But his initial role against the Cardinals was that of a decoy, as the Bears used their passing game effectively. What happened after the play-action fake to Payton, as another look reveals, was a Jim McMahon pass of 24 yards to number 85, Dennis McKinnon. It was McMahon, shaking off a bone fracture in his throwing hand, who closed out the quick 5-play drive with a 28-yard touchdown strike to Willie Gault, number 83. With McMahon battling the fractured bone most of the season, the Bears' passing attack ranked dead last in the entire NFL coming into this game with St. Louis. On the other side of the coin, their defense was the best in all of football. They had allowed the fewest yards and the fewest points in the NFC, and were mostly responsible, along with Payton, for Chicago's strong early season showing. But again, they were victimized by Lomax and Green. This time, the completion covered 37 yards, and it led not to a field goal, but to a touchdown. A 5-yard burst by number 40, Randy Love. Love normally makes his mark as a solid contributor to St. Louis's special teams, but this time he got a chance to carry the ball, and he made the most of it, showing excellent quickness in driving through the hole opened by the Cardinals' strong offensive line. Love's score gave St. Louis a 10-7 lead with 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. The Bears then went back to basics. and that meant number 34, but Peyton found the yardage tough to come by. On the first play of the second period, a pretty misdirection run by Bears fullback Matt Suey ended with a fumble, and Chicago lost an excellent scoring opportunity. History repeated itself a little later in period 2. Following a beautifully designed and executed rollout pass from McMahon to McKinnon, the Bears, with the ball on the St. Louis 6-yard line, coughed it up again. This time it was Jay Saldy, and he was a yard from the end zone. Benny Perrin recovered for the Cardinals, and their 10-7 lead remained intact, for the moment anyway. But now it was time for Chicago's #1 defense to lay a little hurt on St. Louis, and they did just that. For the second consecutive offensive series, the Cardinals went 3 plays and punt. And when the Bears got the ball back, they did not turn it over. Instead, they marched right down the field. 2 strong individual efforts highlighted the drive. One by wide receiver Willie Gault. And the second, a nifty bit of movement in and around the pocket by McMahon. McMahon's throw to Suey left the ball less than a yard shy of the goal line. On the next play, Peyton powered in for his 4th touchdown of the season. The Bears had come from behind twice in the first half to regain the lead. Peyton finished this drive, but the catalyst was McMahon. He would end the half with 176 yards passing, his highest single game total of the 1984 season. But for now, Chicago led 14-10 midway through the second quarter. The Bears' defense could not maintain the advantage. A brilliant catch by Pat Tilley, number 83, sparked St. Louis. Then on a 3rd and 19 from the Bears' 29-yard line, Lomax raced out of the pocket and headed right for that first down marker. It was a heady play by the St. Louis quarterback, whose diving stretch gave the Cardinals a first down inside the Bears' 10-yard line. It didn't take long for St. Louis to jump back in front. O.J. Anderson rambled 9 yards for the go-ahead score, as the Cardinals quickly bounced back to take a 17-14 lead near the end of the first half. Anderson, at times one of the game's most dominant runners, had not been a factor until this touchdown run. But it gave St. Louis the advantage, as the lead changed hands for the 5th time in the first half. Anderson's run closed out the scoring. With the second half still to play, the Cardinals led the Bears 17-14. trailing Bears seized the second half initiative on the rather considerable talents of pro football's all-time leading ground game. Certainly a lot of folks have taken their hats off to Walter Payton. Some even went to the trouble to remove his well-worn chapeau. Payton set the trend for this 14-play opening drive as 13 of the calls were on the ground. The longest carry, however, came not from sweetness, but from quarterback Jim McMahon. Only Benny Perrin's goal line stop kept the Bear quarterback from going in for the score. And McMahon was fortunate he did not hurt himself in the collision. He has already missed some playing time this season due to injury. And a smash-up of this sort probably gave Bear followers some cause for concern. So when it came time for the real dirty work, McMahon was only too happy to let fullback Matt Suhey finish the job. Suhey's vault helped the Bears reclaim the lead in a drive that had lasted a staggering 9 minutes and 17 seconds. But the consistent trend of this ball game had seen one team scoring, then the other reclaiming the lead. St. Louis saw no reason to alter that course and came out smoking in their first possession of period 3. Unlike the balanced Bear drive of run, 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 the Cardinals saw advantages to putting the ball in the air. As usual, Roy Green was a major contributor, lugging this catch down to the goal line. From there, quarterback Neil Lomax went airborne again, this time to running back O.J. Anderson. The 1-yard flip was O.J.'s second touchdown of the game, giving the Cardinals the advantage once more. This was the 7th different lead change of the afternoon, but this popular trend had just about run its course and was bidding a fond farewell. The Cardinals were on top to stay and would not relinquish the lead anymore to anybody. Chicago's top-ranked defenders were finding the Redbirds to be of a different feather than some of their previous opponents. Although the Cardinals had to work hard at it, they were moving the ball effectively on the league's #1 defense. This early fourth quarter drive started off well, but then steadily deteriorated for St. Louis, as Chicago started to show why they came into the game as the NFL's stingiest team. The Bears began to choke off Lomax's passing lanes with tight coverage and pressure in the pass pocket, which forced the Cardinal quarterback to throw into dangerous areas. After this pass was almost picked off, the Cardinals decided a field goal attempt would be the best bet. But again, the Bears were ready to turn them back. Special teamer Sean Gale blocked Neil O'Donoghue's kick, and the momentum shifted to the Chicago side. But the Cardinal defense picked an opportune time to show they could be as surly as their Bear counterparts, and went right at the visitors in full force. On 2 straight possessions, Chicago failed to get out of their own territory, so they called on first-year punter Dave Finzer to kick the ball into a safer spot on the field. Finzer never got a chance. The football transformed itself into a hot potato, and the unfortunate Bear punter suddenly found plenty of red-shirted company. The unlikely hero was number 57, backup linebacker Nico Noga, a rookie from Hawaii who kept Finzer from getting the kick away. St. Louis took over on downs and wasted little time in capitalizing on what had turned out to be the most critical play of the game. After 2 O.J. Anderson thrusts were stopped, Neil Lomax took a page out of Jim McMahon's book and decided to run it in himself. Lomax spent a moment or two in thoughtful meditation, then rose up for a finely appointed touchdown spike. Crisp blocking and Bear defensive pursuit had given Lomax a broad boulevard in which to run, and he had taken full advantage. The Cardinal lead swelled to 10, the game's biggest, but there was still enough time for the Bears to come back. But such a rebuttal never materialized, and Chicago was stopped deep in its own end. Taking over after a failed 4th down, the high-flying Cardinals suddenly got a hankering for running plays that could eat up the clock. O.J. Anderson was given that responsibility and came through nicely. Time was consumed, and so was good rushing yardage. The officials ruled O.J. was stopped just short of the end zone, but this only delayed the score for a moment. Willard Harrell did the honors, and a previously nip-and-tuck game was now ending up as a rout. With St. Louis comfortably ahead 38-21, the Bears tried to get one last score for appearance's sake, but backup quarterback Rusty Lish found little success. On the game's final play, cornerback Lionel Washington, number 48, intercepted, sewing up the Cards' second straight win and their 4th victory of the season. Both teams finished the day with 4-3 records. The Bears 4-3, still good enough for first place in the NFC Central. The Cards 4-3 puts them in a tie for runner-up in the NFC East. As St. Louis nears the season's halfway mark, there are plenty of reasons for smiles. They've proven they have the firepower and wherewithal to beat some good football teams, proving they might be a pretty good team themselves. A lot of games still remain, but St. Louis fans may now finally be serious when they ask themselves, how far can these Cardinals go?